There's things in this conversation that nobody wants to say out loud. The advice you got growing up, get the degree, get the job, work your way up, that advice was designed for an economy that no longer exists. And not only does it not exist anymore, it's basically being taken apart, while everyone's just still doing the same things like it never even happened. This was before AI was even a mainstream thing, before any of this was the conversation it is right now. And I remember exactly what it was like. Silence, mostly. But here's what I didn't know then that I do now. Those jobs I was applying to, a lot of them don't even exist in the same ways anymore. The entry-level marketing coordinator who used to spend their day writing copy, pulling data, or doing reports, that role is now up next for potentially being cut. And these companies figured it out very, very fast. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because the data is real and everyone's ignoring it. The starting salaries they advertise sound reasonable until you run the math. There's taxes, there's rent, there's student loans, health insurance, and transportation. After all the increases in the cost of everything, after all the productivity gains that were supposed to flow back to workers, you're working harder than the generation before you for the less than they got. The system didn't break, it's just not designed for us. When you actually sit down and do the math, not the math they told you in high school, but the real math, it doesn't feel sad. It feels scary almost. Like looking at a game and realizing the board was already set before we even started. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you can stop fighting and start figuring out how to ride it. Here's the exact moves that I'd make, and I have made, if I was starting from scratch right now. Just stop being against it. This is one of the things that Gen Z gets wrong the most. The instinct is to see AI as a threat or something to be against. And I get it, because the jobs, the resources, it's real, obviously, and it's not irrational. I use AI in almost everything I do, but not as a replacement for my thinking, just as a filter, as like a foundation, something that takes what's in my head and accelerates it. And because I learned that early, I built entire products using AI. I built entire systems using AI. I've generated real significant income, like tens of thousands of dollars, using AI as the foundation. And I'm not telling you that to flex. I'm telling you that because people who figure this out early aren't going to be the ones who are competing with 10,000 other applicants. But the real advantage here is the fact that this is all just beginning. What exists right now is the worst it's ever going to be. The people who build with these tools today, they're going to have like a 3 to 5 year head start on everyone else when the tools get to the next level. That window is open now, but it is going to close. The traditional path says get a job and trade your time for a salary. And that used to be a reasonable deal, but it's not anymore. Not when companies are doing layoffs while posting profit records and paying out executive bonuses. They'll cut you the second it makes the numbers look better. There's no loyalty on their side, so the loyalty can't be on ours. I just try to identify one specific problem inside any industry you understand even a little bit. Something that's a real business is just someone paying you money to do something. Package the solution, and now you have a service. That's an asset that you own. There are people in their early 20s right now charging monthly fees to small businesses, law firms, marketing agencies, just to run AI workflows they built in a weekend or a week. Not because they're geniuses necessarily, but just because they moved first. I would also just run the actual numbers. The retirement number that they gave you, or that you're assuming that you're going to spend your whole life working towards, I mean, health insurance alone is a 6-figure liability. Housing, transportation, all of it. They just assume that everything works out. And for the first time in history, you don't have to just be assuming. If you can build any kind of income that can follow you, like remote work, a service, a product, or anything, really, you have the options that previous generations didn't really have. Countries in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, where $1,500 a month gets you a quality of life that $5,000 a month in a major US city just doesn't. Gen Z didn't get a broken world handed to them because we aren't smart enough, we don't work hard enough. Then AI came in, and now it's starting to break the things that we depend on to get out of it. And that's pretty much the situation. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't. But here's the thing I really want you to hear. This is also the first moment in history where tools are accessible to everyone, not just the people with connections or the capital or the right last name. A 19-year-old sitting in a bedroom right now has access to the same infrastructure that companies are paying millions to build. The people who are going to look back at this decade with clarity are the ones who didn't wait for someone to hand them something. The ones who built something else, these are the people who built something while everyone was still in line waiting.